Lachish.
Okay, so I already pulled it out.
You read about it in 18th chapter, 2 Kings. There are three accounts of it because it was the place where God was about ready to lose the Messianic line because there was no way Hezekiah could stand against the Assyrians. Now this is it. I mean, you can come out here if you like. Not too bad. Rain stopped.
The thought is this was fortified on a pre-existing mound, or they...
Yes.
Okay.
You would start with a high place, but you had to have water. And the water is always down below. And what they did when warfare, they learned they could tunnel, clear down inside, and then bring the water inside. And that's what Hezekiah did. This one had the water source on the backside, but this is the highest and about the second largest. Hatzor was 200 acres, biggest city in the country in Abraham's time, 40,000 population. Now compare that to Jerusalem in David's time, 2,000 people. It went, I mean, these are just administrators. Common people live out, administrative centers. And so this was huge, but Hatzor, we don't know. This is where Jabin lived. Jabin, under the judges, was the king there. And Jabin must have been like Pharaoh. You name their kings Jabin because there was a shard found with Jabin's name on it, but it wasn't the Jabin with Deborah's time. Well, anyway, they had, Assyrians, cleaned out. This is all rocks that they had put to fill up the valley to get to the top. Where they broke through is right above the top. This is where, and the Assyrians broke into the city. They also, the strongest place is the city gate. The steps lead up to the first gate. Then there's another gate going in. There were guard rooms on this side and some on the other. And there was a general, let's say, or a captain here, getting messages from a man, his name slips me, who was writing messages to him on shards, broken shards, which became notepads. And on one of the letters, he's reprimanding this captain. I'm not as dumb as you think I am, whatever he had accused him of. And then he says, I cannot see the fires of Azekah anymore. Azekah is where I pointed out where David killed Goliath, on top of that hill. That was a high city, and we now know they must have had smoke signals. I cannot see the fires of Azekah anymore, which means this is the soft way of saying Azekah has fallen. And that's the next stop to Jerusalem. And then he says, may Yahweh help us. First mention of Yahweh outside the Bible on that clay tent. They were found just to the right of this first gate. That was the first gate. In the guard room right next, the shards, there were about 3 of them. First time Lord is mentioned outside the Bible, and giving an idea. You see, they had carrier pigeons, but a carrier pigeon won't make a round trip. It's a homing pigeon, you twill it away, so you can't get an answer back from the dig. So this probably was the way, and they would have, this is the smoke. They may even covered it like Indians with blankets and Morse code. We don't know, but that's, and so now Hezekiah goes to Jerusalem. Before Assyria leaves to go to Jerusalem, Tirhakah, Pharaoh of Egypt, comes up weekly to try to help Hezekiah, necessitating Sennacherib going down and fighting him. Plains of Atika, we don't know where that is. And they defeated him. But Herodotus, 5th century Greek historian, wrote about that battle and said the Assyrians experienced a plague of field mice who ate all of their bowstrings and quiver straps and made it difficult for the Assyrians to make war. Gestation period. How long? I don't know. Bubonic plague. Gestation period. Time you get to Jerusalem, they're dying like flies, and 180,000 of them died. The angel of the Lord may have used bubonic plague. Isn't it interesting? Mice. And that was a deviation that God wanted to make, and they couldn't break through. And Sennacherib left a message. It's on 3 prisms. Here's the way he said it. I defeated 46 of the defense cities of Judah by putting down snapper and sappering operations. I don't know, the sapper must have dug under the wall, digging. And I made to come out from them 100,000 to some enormous number. And as for Hezekiah, that Jew, I shut him up like a caged bird. Now that's a way to say I couldn't break through, because he didn't say a thing about 185,000 troops being killed. And so he goes back, and God stopped. And this was the Assyrians' last hurrah. They went down from there, and even the Babylonians finally took over. And Judah was an island between Assyrian conquest. They couldn't break through because God stopped them from getting through. And so it was a weak kingdom, but we continued with Hezekiah. Don't let me forget to tell you that Hezekiah was the son of Ahaz. Well, I'm going to tell you now. What time? Ahaz was the most ungodly king, started child sacrifice, didn't give a hang. He had a good father and a good grandfather. Uzziah, who ruled for 52 years, and Jotham, who Uzziah got angry, and 17 years of his life he spent in the palace basement while Jotham ruled as his face, and only ruled independently 3 years. And Uzziah suffered because he wanted to go in and light the fires on the incense altar. 80 priests went after him. Don't do this, Uzziah. This is a priest job. Defiantly, of course, leprosy broke out of his head. What do you see?
Something's coming down the hill. I thought it was an animal.
Well, there are moles, and moles are a problem because they can confuse where pottery is. They can dig holes and bring pottery up a different level. But anyway, because of where was I in terms of God is sparing Jerusalem. Oh, okay. So Ahaz is a godless king, and he is 25 when he is starting the throne. Hezekiah then would have seen, he would have been 9 because he starts 16th year. He would have seen his brother fry on a fire. And here's a godless king, and that made him turn a different direction. He would have seen that child sacrifice. And then his son was Manasseh, who picked up where his grandfather left off and turned completely away from the Lord. I was lecturing, one of the most unusual things that have ever happened. My class at this point, and a young man who was a local, son of a minister, came forward to me and he says, Dr. Williams, I've got to talk to you. And this was way back in late 70s, early 80s. I said, okay. He said, you talked about this Ahaz, wicked grandfather of, a wicked father of Ahaz. Ahaz, the wicked father of Hezekiah. Yes. And Hezekiah's son, who never knew his grandfather, who became as wicked as his grandfather, yes. He said, well, I'm a Manasseh, my father's a Hezekiah, and I've got to change because I've seen it in this class. I said, what does that mean? He said, I'm going to level with you, Prof. I'm a drug dealer. He knew he could trust me. And he said, I'm going back and I'm going to try to bring him with me. I said, that's dangerous, isn't it? Yeah, but I'm the leader. I think I can manage it. There's other ripples of that, but let me tell you the end result. I said, he said, I'm going to take care. I said, okay, I'm going to pray for you. That was on a Friday. I picked up the Chronicle Tribune on Monday. Huge picture, drug bust in Wabash. I saw it. I didn't know anybody. And the boy came in my class, set his book down on the table and came up and he said, "Prof, did you read the morning newspaper?" I said, "Yeah." That was my group. If I hadn't have made a decision in your class that I was pulling out, I'd be in jail today. All because of that lecture.
Yeah.
And you look back at that time and you, God, how amazing you were.
We never know. Do we?
Oh, we know. You just keep doing what we can do, and the Lord makes it happen. Well, that's about it. We're going to go bed down, got a good supper.